All right, I think we're live. So first of all, welcome to the DMC, I suppose, lifestyle podcast. It's the first episode. I have Stephen, the great Stephen Black, the man behind the busiest lens in the country, for the first episode, which is excellent. Basically, the podcast is going to be fitness based, but I hope to have guests on from kind of all walks of life and all disciplines of training, all types of nutrition, everything. Basically, anyone interested, I can get on. I'll take on. Hopefully once or twice a month. Definitely, I'll get an episode out with that. But the first episode itself is with Stephen Black. As I said, he's probably the busiest lens in the country, in the fitness industry anyway at the moment. And I've done 2 shoots with Stephen at this stage, a lifestyle shoot basically just for the gym and for coaching in general, and then an actual physique shoot coached under Adam Dowling, AD Elite, just recently enough before my show. So, Stephen, would you like to introduce yourself, or what way would you introduce yourself?
I am what they would call the shy man behind the lens. Stephen Black, I've been in the fitness industry, I would say, I don't know. I've been in the industry, I would say 7-8 years now. Never in a million years did I imagine I was ever going to be doing photography. Never originally set out to do this. Never originally planned to ever go down this line of a career. But I guess it just happened. It happened literally overnight. And I think it come to the stage where it just started to flourish. And yeah, a lot of things have just sort of grew exponentially from it. And I've found I just absolutely love it. I really, really do. And you get to meet all kinds of people day in, day out, and you get to hear a lot of big stories. And yeah, the crack's good. But enjoy it.
So you say you're in the industry, what, 7-8 years? Is that all photography industry, or? Yeah, did it start out as in it didn't start out photography?
Well, see, originally I started. I studied architecture, and ever since I was young, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to draw buildings. I wanted to design skyscrapers. You name it. That was what I wanted to be. And at the stage where I was in my university course, my friend had asked me to come along, take a few photographs for his personal training business. Again, I had no real clue of what I was doing. I picked up the camera, took a few shots. He seemed to like what I did. Me personally speaking, looking back, it was terrible. But one thing led to another. A friend of his had seen that I did some of the work, and he had asked me to do some of his as well. So it got to the stage where I guess I realized I'm going to have to start learning how to do this, and I'm going to have to stop bluffing as such. Yeah. And I started to learn how to do it. And I guess at that stage I realized I have to start taking this seriously. People who I didn't know were approaching me to come and do business for them. And at that stage, you have to realize, is this what I want to do or is it not? And at this stage, I still always treated it as a hobby. But as one thing led from another, and yeah, some of them original clients that sort of entrusted me 7-8 years ago to do the work for them, I still have to this day. So totally, I put my whole thanks in them for getting me to where I am today, because if they hadn't have trusted me in what I could provide in the initial days, I never would be here today. So yeah, that's sort of how it grew from nothing.
It's pretty organic growth there. Like, Jesus, coming from architecture straight into photography, just kind of through a friend and then a hobby, and then Jesus. And you also do like wedding photography and stuff too. Did that kind of develop at the same time as that, or was it like you started off, let's say, more weddings, and then as the photo shoot scene grew, it grew, or?
The weddings for me had, again, just happened. I had a family wedding where they obviously seen that I was particularly au fait with a camera, and they decided to bring me along on the day to take a few shots. Again, they liked what I brought. They liked the shots that I took, and from there, I got inquiries from friends of friends and things like that. Yeah. Personally speaking, weddings aren't my most favourite line of work because I feel like there's too many elements that you can't control. Okay, At a fitness shoot, the only thing that's out of your control legitimately is the person's physique. You can control the lighting, you can control the environment. You can, in a way, control the person's nerves and things like that. But whenever it comes to a wedding, you're dealing with time restraints, you're dealing with a lot of people, alcohol, you name it. There's so many different entities and weather. And I like the challenge, but I would never want to categorize myself as a wedding photographer. Ever. For me, if I do 15, 20 weddings per year, it's enough for me. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have to go into that industry anytime soon anyway. The fitness seems to be working out very, very well for you. But like you said there, you're obviously shooting the fitness industry back 7-8 years ago. What was the scene like back then in terms of what we are shooting? Was it as mad as it is now? Like, everybody's doing photo shoots now. Every coach is coaching photo shoots. The amount of clients who want to do photo shoots, the whole physique scene has really like popped off. Well, I'm only, I suppose, coaching maybe 2 years, and I think as soon as I kind of come in, I feel like it was kind of taken off at that time too. But was it the same back then, or did I just kind of happen to see that at the same time, or what do you think?
Looking back where I started at, photo shoots were only just starting. Anybody who did a photo shoot was either doing a transformation, which at that stage wasn't very many, or you would have had bodybuilders, competitors who would have did a photo shoot a few days either pre or post show, and that was pretty much it. Anybody else didn't really do them, or it wasn't the fad at the time. And I think as time has went on, the whole body image thing has completely diversified. Photo shoots back then, you had to be shredded, it had to be six packs, it had to be intense, it had to look the part. Now, I feel the way the industry has went, more body confidence is deemed to be more important and more acceptable than what you actually look like. In a way, it is very, very good, and I totally respect anybody with body confidence, but at the same time, I think what it leads to as well is some people feeling like, well, I don't need to put in the hard work, or I don't need to do 12, 15 weeks of intense training to get me to a certain level, because there's apps out there to Photoshop me. There's too much AI out there to artificially make someone look better. Yeah, and I think it's turning into quite a dangerous level in time, because now everything's not how it seems. And because Instagram, I think over the last 5 to 6 years especially, has really blew up in terms of how people look. Back then, Instagram was for taking photographs of life, day-to-day things. People were just capturing the same as a check-in on Facebook. That was a fad. But now it's more about how your personal image looks, how successful you look, how rich you look. And the scary thing is now, the majority of people, that's not real. So it's just trying to keep up with the times, but not add to the problem. For me, I think yes, the whole body confidence thing is great, but I think we still need to ensure that a photo shoot has to implement that large portion of hard work, and you know that from yourself. You put the graft in. If someone wants to see the results from A to B, you have to put in that hard work. and not have the perception of, I'll just eat clean for a few weeks and sure I'm going to look fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. And I've even had clients come to me recently, obviously since they've seen me doing my shoot, and a few more people like kind of locally doing the shoots, interested in doing it. And when you mention something like, right, well, we're going to have to maybe not drink for 20 weeks, and we're going to have to be focused, like very focused 20 weeks. We might have to lose maybe up on 20 kilos, and they're looking at you like, no, I'll do an 8-week cut and we'll do a shoot after that. And it's like, you have to kind of look then as like, well, why do you want to do the shoot really? Like, you know, I think a shoot definitely even last year was on not a higher pedestal, but there was a lot more kind of there was a lot more focus on the physique itself, and it was now it's kind of like, right, anyone can just do a shoot. We'll just do a shoot. It doesn't matter if you come in absolutely peeled. It doesn't matter if you come in ripped. We'll just do a shoot anyway. It looks good on the coach's Instagram page, again, Instagram, and it's diluted a lot. Whereas I think it needs to really emphasize that, like, well, out of respect for those who do work hard, I think it needs to be emphasized more that a shoot should be a very, very focused phase. If you want to do a shoot, let's do it properly. And let's not dilute the scene for those who do want to work hard. I'm sure you see so many of them. And coaches who, like, some coaches I know work endless hours online, try to get clients ready and stuff, and then all these shoots come out that aren't, let's say, what they used to be. And that's purely on the not on the photographer side of things. It's purely on the people doing like little 8-week cuts and 6-week cuts and stuff like that, and then doing a shoot. And I think it's getting diluted, and it's definitely not for everyone to go and do that big shoot. But I do think that it is getting diluted slightly. Would you agree with that? In terms of like the quality of the actual coaching?
Absolutely, and I think it definitely has. For me, I'm probably going to get a little bit against my grain and against the abundance of work that I get, which I don't complain about in any shape or form. But I feel like the whole fitness industry, and I'm not saying as a whole, but there's a large portion of it is very just monetized. It's very much, I think people are trying to grab hold of the quick buck out of it. And I think there's a big portion of personal trainers out there and coaches that aren't looking in the retrospect of what that client's trying to achieve, but more, I'm going to get a quick transformation out of these. I'm going to run a photo shoot prep every 12 or 13 weeks, get them in, get them out, more as a money spinner. And that's not to tar everybody with the same brush. I work with some very, very brilliant coaches who are very dedicated to what they do. Again, you know the people that I'm talking about, and they do. You have to have a harsh aspect to it as well, where you have to be fit to turn around to your client and go, no, you're not ready. We have to push this out. At the end of the day, you're going to them for a service. It's up to them to basically grab you by the balls and say, right, I personally feel we're going to need more time. The problem is at the moment, too many people see, because the photo shoot scene is such a big fad and a big market at the moment. Everybody's jumping in the bandwagon without weighing up the pros and cons to it, and understanding that this can be very psychologically damaging to people as well. If you're building them up to a certain level where they maybe haven't put the effort in, and they believe in their head they look better than they do. Yeah. The whole thing is very, very much diluted, and I think there will come a time where I think people will be held accountable for monetizing on it rather than actually doing it properly. I think the industry just needs to find some way of policing it, so that people don't get hurt out of it. And I think for me, there is a very dangerous aspect to it all, because you're dealing with their health, there's their psychological side of things as well, and it's with me being part and parcel of their journey at the end. Sometimes I feel like maybe I get a little bit too attached, but I can see how sometimes it does impact them, and I think something, and I don't know what the solution is to it, but something has to be done at some stage to try and leave it that this industry doesn't get abused just for the sheer fact of people to make a quick pound.
Yeah, I do think that gets forgot about a lot of time, that coaching, no matter what you're coaching and playing for, at the end of the day, as a coach, you should be, the first concern should be health of that client, and not just physical health. Obviously, you're getting them in good shape, and yeah, that's healthy, you know, to a certain extent. But also, you have to understand like people's psychological health, and then take into account relationship factors. Like a proper prep will pull away from support around you, like your family. You're obviously going to be, I know myself, I was moody, definitely moody, and it puts pressure on people around you a lot too, you know. And that's something that like my coach Adam, who I ran the prep with and ran the show with, he drilled that into me the whole way through. He was like always talking about support systems, and always talking about, you know, some people genuinely are not ready to enter into such a stressful and intense process. And even because I was starting to discuss with him, I was saying, right, well, I'm going to be hoping to take on some of my own clients or something like this here, and he would be giving me advice and like, right, well, you know, what was their reason for wanting to do that, and do really drill into them. First of all, you know, it's not going to be a walk in the park, and you do need to be in a certain position. It's a privilege to truly be able to step into a prep. You have to be in a fairly stable position to actually go into that, because if you're not, it will have an effect on all these things around you. And like me and you were talking before we started the podcast, I didn't realize until after the prep that, you know, there is difficulties to it psychologically. You know, relationship with food, relationship with like you start seeing your abs disappear. It's a bit like you've been so focused on one point that when you come out the other end of it, it's like, right, Jesus, now where do I go? And you've been so focused on body composition, and now it's like, right, we're going to build you back up, and it's hard to lose that. It is hard to lose that attachment to body composition. And I just think that a lot of, I don't want to badmouth any coach at all, but it seems that a lot of coaches may be disregarding that, and maybe they haven't gone through a prep themselves and don't truly understand that might happen, but they might be disregarding the client's well-being by just trying to push them into these quick money spinning shoots, and then people come out the back of that and they don't know what to do, and it could potentially put them off training for life, or put them in a bad relationship with food for life. And obviously through that then put stress onto their support systems, their parents, families, relationships. And it just needs to be taken into consideration that if you do it properly, it is going to have an effect. And it's something that I'm looking at now. It's like, right, if anyone comes to me, I'm really questioning, right, is this for you? What kind of support systems have you in place at the minute? Where's your job at? How long have you been training? You know, do we have the experience to go into something like this? Because obviously, if I want to take a client to you, I'm thinking that's your integrity too, and that's your business too. And if I'm going to bring someone to you, I want to bring the best to your camera, because obviously that's your job too. And at the end of the day, your reputation is on your photo shoot that you done with my clients. So I just think it's wrong to be putting people into positions where they're not necessarily ready. And it's not good for anyone really at the end of the day, you know. And I do think there is a lot of that at the minute, but hopefully I'd say it's kind of just peaking. It might boil over, and we'll eventually see the kind of more focused and true photo shoot kind of come back, you know.
It is down to having a coach that will tell you yes or no, and be fit to be totally honest from the get-go. I think what's wrong is too many people are in this society is maybe a little bit too afraid to say no, and too soft in their approach. And as you say, they need to sit and assess initially what is their whole life currently like, and is this for them? Is this currently a route that they should be going down right now? And I think that's where the industry has massively got to blame for at the moment, because anybody and everybody's doing shoots, which isn't entirely a bad thing. But one thing I personally don't like and don't agree with too much are these large group transformations where you have a select 10, 12, 15 people, all from different backgrounds, different levels of body composition, all doing one generic time plan. They all start at the same time, they finish at the same time. And what happens is you have some people that do very, very well. They look fantastic. You have other people that come out of it looking around their environment and thinking, well, don't want to sound bad, but I'm the fat one out of the group. That can really, really degrade particular clients. And I've seen this happen firsthand. And again, yes, I love the community aspect from running group photo shoots. It's great commercially as a business idea. Yes, it's fantastic, but the whole ethos of it, I don't personally like, because as you know, and as Adam knows, and as any other good coach out there knows, everybody has different positions and everybody needs different elements of time. And coaches out there need to honestly sit back and think, I need to be honest here. I don't think this person should do a shoot right now. And if that client essentially turns around and says, well, if you're not letting me do this shoot, then I'm leaving, then I think that's something that a lot of coaches need to take on the chin and realise, well, that's not the client for me. I'm not going to jeopardise someone's life and everything around it just because they want to do something which you personally feel they're not ready for. So, yeah, I think it's just getting people to grow a set and think truthfully, is this right or is it wrong?
Yeah, and like you said earlier on, it's very hard to kind of think how you would police or kind of certify or regulate that, but there probably should be something in place as to who can maybe coach a certain level of physique, because at a certain level of physique there is going to be a certain level of psychological care you're going to have to take with that client, and if that's not really controlled, that can have lifetime effects for that client, I definitely think, like, one thing is you should have at least, or someone going to coach someone to do something like this should have at least done the process themselves and understood, because the process for me has been invaluable in the fact that I can now spot maybe some of the pitfalls a client of mine might have going through that, and maybe give them the heads up as to what could happen potentially after and what could potentially happen during, and all these little psychological things that you can't read out of a book. I just think that you should have at least walked that walk first to be in a position to put somebody else down, because there is all them little psychological pitfalls that are very important to warn a client about before they step into something. And I do think photo shoots are absolutely brilliant, and what they can do for somebody's confidence, both psychologically, physically, if that person is running a coaching business confidence, and if they're done properly and controlled properly, they are like exceptional, and they should be encouraged for a lot of people. But it is at the end of the day someone's health and someone's well-being you're playing with, and it does need to be taken into account a bit more, I think. But yeah, no, listen, photo shoots are good in my opinion, and that's just kind of what my perspective, especially after doing it, is that there is these little pitfalls, and we just need to be aware of them before you put someone down there. But like that, I was going to ask you as well. I think you even yeah. Even the other thing is too, even you've probably noticed, I find the shoots are actually a good stepping stone for people as well. So people who potentially have never been interested in the fitness industry or never dreamt of being part of the industry or into coaching or whatever, essentially after doing a shoot, find that sort of hidden passion for it and realise this is something I want to go down. Coaching is something I want to maybe progress into.
And even for the likes of yourself or whatever, doing that photo shoot first prior to stepping on stage gives people that taste of peak weeks, that taste of what prep is for a show, and realise, you know what, I want to compete down the line. That's the next goal that I want to aim towards. And yeah, it opens up so many doors. It does teach people a lot of lessons as well, and as to how their body reacts, and ultimately maybe come out of a prep realizing, you know what, I never want to do that again. That's not for me. I guess you have to kind of dip your toe in the water to realize, is it for me or is it not? But yeah, there's so many pros and cons with it, and I think if you genuinely want to do one, and that is your end goal, do it. But if it's something that you're not too sure about doing, don't ever be coerced or forced into doing it, because I think you need to be ready. You need to be mentally targeted to doing one and doing it right, because there's so many factors that can go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for somebody who already is a coach, like myself, I come into the whole process as a coach. And to be honest, when I actually hired Adam, first of all, as a coach, I just wanted accountability. And Adam kind of mentioned the photo shoot to me, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And I progressed into the shoot. I was already in photo shoot prep when we decided that we were actually going to compete around the same time as well. So that's kind of how it can develop. Do you know what I mean? I got a taste of it, and I was like, right, well, when I am doing this, I might as well go all in. And with that, I started getting a lot more into, I suppose, educating myself on physique. When I seen how intricate and actually interesting the whole science behind it is, and it definitely benefit my coaching 100% doing that too, you know, which I think is great. But yeah, I love talking to you about this, because you're not a coach as such at the minute, but you have such a perspective of all these clients. Like, let's say me, for instance, we done a lifestyle shoot before I done a prep, then we done the shoot obviously at the end of prep, and then you get to talk to me after. So you get to see people before, during, and after all the time, and maybe even see coaches coaching a client into a shoot after they did their own shoot, and you get to really see a bird's eye view. I just think that's very interesting. Like, and what would you kind of say to anyone who, I suppose, is on the fence about potentially going down that route of either coaching physique or getting into physique themselves and into let's say doing a shoot or doing a show? What would be your one piece of advice, I guess, to them?
I think you won't know till you try. Again, from looking at where I started and how I had progressed into the industry myself, again, I never would have known unless I didn't try it for myself. It's not for everybody. Again, I think I'm a true believer. Do something you're passionate about and something that you enjoy. It'll never really feel like work, regardless of how many hours, regardless of how tough it can get at times. It's very, very important to, I think, gone are the days where you have to just find a 9 to 5, just, you know, live for a job. That's it. I think now we've got to a stage in life where we realise we can do something that we enjoy, regardless of what it is. And I think if people have been in the fitness industry or have trained and enjoyed the gym and enjoyed that passion for it, if you feel like you can push that into a career in coaching and personal training, definitely give it a go. You don't know until you test the water with it. I think one important thing I always do feel, and I'm going to give you an example. I had shot a client a short period of time ago. He's very young, 18. I'm not going to incriminate anybody here, but I asked him where did he want to go in his career, or what did he want to do, and he was doing a photoshoot with me, and he had said that he wanted to get into online coaching. that was fantastic. I was like, that's great. Now's one of the best times for online coaches. There's all the information out there. You've all the education out there. Everything's at your fingertips, which may not have been essentially there if I had ever pursued that career 7 or 8 years ago. Everything just wasn't just as accessible. But he had only just qualified in his personal training course. So conversations had led on, and I had asked him, well, are you going to be doing some PTing? And the answer was no. I don't want to be PTing people on the floor. I want to be an online coach. I want to move to Marbella. I want to live the lifestyle of a coach.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's aspirations for that is what I feel great, because I think young people should aspire to do things like that. But for me, whether it's because I'm old-fashioned in the way I was brought up and traditional in the way that I had grown up from nothing, I think you have to go through the foundation levels and the building blocks before you can legitimately be a certain thing. For him, I was quite honest with him, and I explained, look, I think, personally speaking, get 3, 4, 5 years of on the floor coaching under your belt, so you can assess how people move. You can assess how to come up with quick fire solutions to people's problems in their training, in their nutrition, and even just understand how to communicate with people. Like, one thing I've spoke to Adam, I'd say 1,000,000 times on, is that I would count my photography business, because it's a service, very, 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 very similar to coaching, albeit I don't know anything about nutrition as such, nor do I want to, but I feel that you have to be fit to adapt and communicate to people very, very quickly, and confidently give people that trust, that they know, okay, I trust this person to carry me through from A to B. And I think if you don't have that on the floor coaching, I think to be a successful online coach, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult process. And my previous career, I was a director for an automation company, and I did a lot of jobs, did a lot of projects. I had to deal with a lot of people every single day. And I think, as much as I look back and the place drove me up the wall, I feel like by doing that career, by building the photography up side by side, that communication, education that I got throughout that job helped me for where I am today. I think the same applies to coaches. I think nothing beats on the floor, doing the graft, getting yourself to the level. And I think that's something that I think is going to pose a problem for the younger generation of tomorrow, because they will feel like, well, I can just skip A and B and go to D. Yeah. And I think ultimately everybody sees that shiny metal, that shininess of an online coach, but don't see the graft. And if you do the graft, you're an on the floor PT as well, and you get to see these people every day and fit to personally adjust, personally rectify things that they may be encountering.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that leads back to what you were saying with Instagram earlier on. People see the Instagram of sitting on the lounger in Marbella with the laptop out, and it's like, right, that's online coaching. I'm going to be an online coach, and I'm going to be doing that in 2 months. But they don't realise that person has worked for a long time, and they're probably not even doing it on the laptop in that photo. Do you know what I mean? And as I said, I know a lot of ones who got qualified and went straight online. And I was like, right, well, best of luck teaching someone how to do an ODL online who's never been to the gym before, because that's difficult. Do you know? Just stuff like that, like the little cues you learn from working with actual people is what's gonna drive the online business for you in the end. Do you know? And obviously I can't talk. I'm only starting off. I'm kind of a hybrid. I do a bit of online, bit of in person, but I have absolutely no intention of dropping in person, because I don't feel like I've done enough in person to completely qualify me to be the online coach I would like to be if I was a full-time online coach, which is obviously you want to be a high standard. I think I have a lot more to learn on the floor before I would actually consider myself, I suppose, good enough to be that full-time online coach. Like, even take Adam, for example. I think Adam's coaching 9-10 years, and a lot of that was on the floor. And people are going to see his transformations now, and all his pros and all them girls who are doing unbelievable. Like, he's doing unbelievable, and they'll think, right, I'm going to do that next year. Where they don't see Adam's last 10 years, you know. And the same with so many coaches. I think even we're obviously talking about your future plans for. Yeah, go on.
Well, you're in a very, very advantageous, can I say the word, advantageous position, though, Dean, the fact that you are fit to organically grow the online and on the floor at the exact same time. Where I had seen over lockdown, a lot of people had transitioned from on the floor to online because there's obviously no option, and it's very, very difficult just to flip that in-person physical approach to shit. I have to do this digitally now. How do I carry myself across so that it still feels personal? But I think you're in a very, very good position where you can do both of them at the same time, and not many people will have that advantage. But I think, you know, in the long term aspect of it all, you'll grow both, you know, in tandem, and you've got two sides to your business that complement each other throughout. It's not like you just jumped out of one into another, or vice versa. You're letting these both just grow at their own rate, and that's fantastic, and that's exactly, I think, how people should do it, because the online thing's such a big thing at the moment that it shouldn't be eliminated. You will have clients that ultimately can't or don't have the time to physically be there at in-person coaching all the time, but having that option for them as an online, it's great, because obviously people's lifestyles just dictate that all the time.
Don't line up. There's only so many hours in the day too for everyone to get into the gym, you know. And I'm sure you'd agree with this too. Your clients that you have in person, for you even taking photos of them and doing all these shoots, are your biggest teachers at the end of the day, because you learn what cues work with them and what feedback you get from saying this and saying that. Obviously, you're a master of keeping people comfortable and keeping their nerves down. That's one thing I noticed straight away with you, because I was actually before the lifestyle shoot, I was probably more nervous than the physique shoot, because I was like, oh, what's Stephen gonna be like? Am I gonna be nervous? You know, all that sort of stuff. But you obviously learned that over time, how to keep people. As soon as I started talking, I was like, oh, this is gonna be grand. This is gonna be a breeze. This is gonna be a good crack. You know. And that's obviously just something you've learned from dealing with so many shoots and so many clients, that you can just walk in and drop the level of nerves straight away. And just these little cues. Like, I was thinking after the physique shoot, you should be a posing coach, because even your cues for me posing and stuff like that to get the right angles, obviously just developed through work, you know, through work. And that leads us on to your future plans, in terms of where you're going with your are we allowed to say it? I don't know.
Oh, say it.
I don't want to spill the beans without permission, but you obviously have plans to open a studio gym for basically clients to come to you and have their shoots in your fully private facility, which is obviously the main advantage of that. You don't have people on the floor. It's obviously, again, for people's nerves. You know, people like to have that experience where the gym is theirs for the day. They can relax into the shoot, make the best of the shoot, and really enjoy that day as a experience more so than a nervous situation, you know. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
So the gym studio for me, I guess over the last 3 or 4 years, has been something that I've always wanted to do. The first time I ever seen it be done was done by Chris Bailey over in Nottingham. And I remember as plain as day. The very second that I seen him release his studio gym in Nottingham, I was like, that is what I want. That is my goal. That is my dream. Again, at that stage, I was still working full time alongside the photography, and for me, it didn't warrant trying to get a studio. I didn't feel that I was quite ready. I felt like my client base, I felt should have been bigger. I felt like I needed to do a lot more shoots and get a lot more people under my belt before I feel like I could comfortably bring people to me and make them feel like I'm good enough. And I'm one of the biggest pessimists you'll ever meet, because I will never ever feel like I'm good enough regardless of what. But for me, this was something I always wanted to have. I'm not getting any younger, and I think the long-term goal for me is to have people travel to me. I'll still do my travel and still go to shoots as and when I want, but I think now I feel like I'm at the stage where I can not take the foot off the gas, but now offer people a place that's fully private. It's designed for shoots, and I've taken different aspects from different gyms and places that I've seen over the last 7 or 8 years that I feel like does work and doesn't work, and mold it together into something that I hope, fingers crossed, will be good for people to come. For me, I guess I just wanted to be fit to show something for all of the many, many years of toiling and hard work and hours. I guess I wanted just to be fit to have something physical that I can go, yeah, I've created this. Now, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But for me, I to be fit to say that will have the first studio gym in the whole of Ireland, that makes me happy.
Insane.
But I just hope it lives up to that sort of
no,
that level of things. But yeah, excited.
Yeah. I have no doubt about it that it will. And funny you should say that. The first thing I thought when I seen your post about it, was Stephen seen that many gyms and being in that many gyms and seeing what works and like what's cool and all this, that this gym potentially could be the coolest gym in the country, because you're going to take all the aspects from all the gyms down in the country. Like, you know, there's cool gyms down there, like the Lab, for example, stuff like that. Gyms in Dublin, gyms up here, and you're going to have probably concepts from all of them in the one. And obviously with your eye for shots, you'll have it lined up perfectly. I have no doubt it'll be a very, very cool facility. So I'm excited to see how that goes for you. I'm excited to follow the progression for that. And very excited to even do a shoot myself there someday, maybe. But yeah, that's excellent. So despite our technical difficulty
it's one of them,
in the middle, I think we're lagging a bit. You go ahead.
I'm hoping it's just one of these building blocks that if it works, I'll try and expand the business from there into something bigger. My long term, I would say 5, 6, 10-year plan, I would love to own a gym. Something big, something that's passive, that I can go, this is everything that I've dreamt of and seen throughout the years, smashed it all together. But yeah, it's not, the place isn't what I feel size wise. It could be bigger, and I would like it to be bigger. But for me, I guess I've had so many people tell me, look, you have to start somewhere, and hopefully it'll expand from there. But yeah, long term goal for me is have a gym, have somewhere that I feel is the gym to go to, and build a community from there.
Absolutely, I have no doubt you can, because you probably have the biggest contact list in the industry as well, between clients and coaches. But yeah, no, absolute best luck with that, Stephen. Very, very excited to follow along with that. It's going to be an exciting one, and I can't wait to actually see it myself, to be honest. But yeah, as I was saying, despite our technical difficulties in the middle, I think we have a full podcast recorded. And again, thank you very much for coming on. I know you're very, very busy between shooting and driving definitely, and editing. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on today, and I think we give people a very good perspective on the whole shoot scene, what a shoot actually is, how good it can be, the pitfalls to that, and just kind of where we meet me and you from someone who's done a shoot, potentially coaching some shoots, and you obviously that sees all the shoots, where we kind of see the scene is at the minute, and who it's right for. But yeah, that was a brilliant podcast and a brilliant first episode, and I'm very glad that it was you I got on for that. So thank you very much, Stephen. And I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I appreciate you having me on, Dean. To be honest, for me, it's nice to get an open and honest approach on it as well. And yeah, I think the disadvantages to a lot of it as well is something that just has to be talked about a bit more. Something that people shouldn't be afraid of talking about. And I think, looking further down the field, I think the likes of this should be even put into a seminar where it's talked about open and honestly, and really give people a real insight to it all. Just because, I think everything looks shiny from the outside, but people really need to see the in-depth side to it all as well.
Yeah, I think being open and honest about it will actually help it, and help it progress and improve the quality of it for both the people in it and the coaches and photographers around the scene too. The more education basically about all, the more honest and open, full spectrum education, the better. I think anyway, But yeah, that was absolutely excellent, Stephen. I think we'll wrap it up there because people are going to be listening to this and thinking, when the hell are these two going to stop talking? But yeah, thank you very, very, very much, and we'll stop it there. So again, thanks for coming on, and I'll let you get back to some editing or photography or driving or whatever it is you're at these days. But yeah, thank you, Stephen.